The red is declining and the autumn wind is bleak. The morning sun shines on the yellow fallen leaves of the manor house, adding a bit of quiet loneliness. A villa full of modern style, simple, relaxed, comfortable and natural, full of money. In the villa, a man and a woman leaned against each other on the sofa, dreaming soundly. As if time stood still, the years were quiet. Suddenly, the man who had been sleeping suddenly opened his closed eyes. In an instant, cold light suddenly appeared. Perceiving the temperature in his arms, the man reflexively threw it out. Boom! The sound of heavy objects falling. What followed was a long scream, "Ah, it hurts." Shwefimo was taken aback. Yesterday's memory quickly awakened, and a flash of surprise flashed in a daze. Luo Tiantian on the ground woke up after fluttering for a while. As soon as he raised his head, his goal was the familiar face. The man's eyebrows and eyes are deep, and the facial features are exquisitely contoured, as if they are carefully crafted and perfect. He is wearing a white shirt, a suit, and trousers. Even with such a simple dress, it is difficult to conceal his noble and cold temperament. He just sat on the sofa casually and stared at her with complicated eyes. Luo Tiantian lowered her eyes, the corners of her mouth twitched slightly, and her little expression was quickly reduced. Shrugging his shoulders, his head twitched. Shwefimo squeezed her eyebrows with a headache. "My kid, are you crying?" Luo Tiantian quietly raised her head, then dropped weakly. "Who are you? Why did you catch me here?" There were deep grievances and timidity in his voice, and tears in his eyes. Shwefimo corrected the words, "Children, please, not catch." Luo Tiantian choked and almost had a myocardial infarction. 3 days ago, she flew in Tianmen Mountain in a wingsuit and died to save Qiao Qiao. When I opened my eyes, I walked into the book written by my girlfriend. This book was written by my best friend to spoof her. In the book, she is a miserable female partner. A good friend who grew up with her has a plastic surgery to look like her, replacing her identity. Then she was sold to the black market, and she was transferred to a killer organization several times. Later, I finally survived in the killer organization. After returning home, everything has long since been wrong. For the sake of the woman who pretended to be her, he did not believe her. Instead, she suffered a lot of humiliation and injury. Moreover, even the one he likes is engaged to the counterfeit. Losing all her, in despair, choose revenge. Finally lost, tortured to death by counterfeit. Asterisk when Luo Tiantian came here, it was when she in the book intended to expose the truth. In order not to be as miserable as in the book, Luo Tiantian decisively chose to join the big villain in the book Shwefimo. Shwefimo is the only big bug in the book. The description of him in the book is almost omnipotent. It is the biggest stumbling block for male and female masters. In order to get close to Shwefimo, Luo Tiantian went to the place where Shwefimo would be attacked in the plot and stayed guard day and night. Planned to come to a beauty to save the hero. Never thought that she was dozing off because she was sleepy while guarding. Suddenly he was awakened by a thief's heavy body. When I was still in a daze, I heard the man say, "Please go back and be a guest." After speaking, he hugged her to himself. "Sleep. Now. Up." Shwefimo's driver acted decisively, and he was forced to carry them into the car almost immediately. Asterisk author reader group, 8336139664. Welcome to join the big family. Heavy Blackheart, the drama lady who likes the big guy, has become the top stream. Please collect it. The big guy's drama star lady has become the fastest literary update under the top stream. Luo Tiantian was so forced to come to this villa. In order not to wake the man, the butler forced her to sit on the sofa and stay with him all night. Thinking of this, Luo Tiantian suddenly felt a sore back. Thinking quickly in my heart, there is no life-saving grace. How should she stay with Shwefimo? Suddenly, her inspiration flashed. Wrongly looked at Shwefimo and said, "Is there anyone who invited you like this?" It scared me to death, I thought. Before he finished speaking, Shwefimo coldly interrupted, 5 million. What? Luo Tiantian looked at Shwefimo in astonishment. Shwefimo's impatience between his eyebrows is more serious, not enough. Enough, enough. Luo Tiantian recovered, nodding like garlic, but why are you giving me money? Shwefimo, sleep with me. Luo Tiantian twitched her mouth and looked at Shwefimo in surprise. Boss, do you still need to sleep with you? Sitting on the sofa and sleeping is 5 million. Not only are beautiful men admire, but they can also stay logically. A fool would not agree to such a good thing. Even if she sleeps for a lifetime, she doesn't feel too much. Shwefimo was stunned, her deep eyes looked at Luo Tiantian. After a long time, he said lightly, I don't sleep with kids. In the voice, there was a disgust that could not be concealed. The gaze also swept Luo Tianatian's eyes up and down. Luo Tianatian's face turned black. I am not a kid, I am already 18. In her last life, she was 25 years old before she died. In this life, the original owner is almost 18 years old. It's almost 100 people in the 2 lifetimes combined, a kid. Moreover, what is his look? Is she also very predictable? Luo Tiantian sat on the ground cross-legged neatly, and looked at Shwefimo with his head held up. Shwefimo looked at her dissatisfied and raised her eyebrows. 18. Also very small. Luo Tiantian choked, you can still grow up, don't you really want it? No. Shwefimo shook his head. Luo Tiantian was immediately discouraged, well, give me money. Anyway, money doesn't make a kinjay tag. They all make money from labor, why doesn't she? Luo Tiantian, who had not reached his goal, suddenly stopped being cautious. Just sit on the ground and appreciate the villain boss home generously. At this glance, I was surprised to find that the entire villa lobby is almost as described in the book. Ultimate luxury. In the hall, irregular geometric furniture, as well as various small objects, were things she had dared to think about but dared not buy. Each piece is extremely valuable. In the last life, my father was an anti-narcotics policeman and my mother was an entrepreneur. After her parents were vendetta, she left her with tens of millions of property and 2 villas. But even so, she didn't dare to spend money like this. After all, as an extreme adventure enthusiast, there are too many places to spend money. Therefore, when she saw everything in front of her, she only felt a smell of money, rushing to her face. He raised his head hesitantly, a chandelier made of pleated gemstones, inlaid, almost blinded her. Luo Tiantian was dumbfounded. Sure enough, she used to be a pauper in front of Shwefimo. After admiring the chandelier, she looked at a large transparent glass door dozens of meters away. On the other side of the glass door is a large and surprisingly blue swimming pool. At a glance, it was sparkling. The drama lady who likes the big guy has become the top stream, please collect it. The big guy's drama star lady has become the fastest literary update under the top stream. Luo Tiantian could no longer describe the shock in her heart in words. It turns out that this is the real top trench gate? Withdraw his sight and look at the floors above the second floor. In general, the second floor is the master's bedroom and study. Therefore, the decoration is much more delicate than the first floor. As for the third floor up, sorry, she has never lived in a villa with more than 3 floors, let alone there are several floors above it. She blinked and whispered, I really want to see what kind of spending money is on it. At this moment, the sudden voice interrupted Luo Tianatian's fantasy. Master, here is the check you want. Luo Tiantian heard the sound and quickly withdrew his eyes. An elegant, rigorous, and capable butler dressed in a dark dovetail butler uniform handed a check to Shwefimo with both hands respectfully. Shwefimo took the check, picked up the signature pen and scribbled on it, filling in the amount. Step by step towards Luo Tiantian, children, take the money and go home. After speaking, stood up and walked towards the elevator. Luo Tiantian looked at Xue Fiemo's back in a daze. The white shirt and black trousers were a little wrinkled because they sat on the sofa all night. But it did not affect the diamond temperament of a tall, rich, and handsome of more than 1.5 meters. It really deserves to be the big boss of the NPC villain who looks exactly like Xiao Qiao. This figure is so explosive. Luo Tiantian whispered softly. Seeing his figure disappear into the elevator, Luo Tiantian withdrew her gaze with unfinished talent. Little girl, do you need to send someone to take you home? The butler asked with a smile. Between the words, there is an alienation that is hard to ignore. No, I'll just go back by myself. Luo Tiantian shook her head and got up with the check. It's not that she doesn't want to be given away, but that the original owner is totally homeless, and she doesn't know where to go for the time being. Okay, go slowly, miss. The butler made a please gesture. Luo Tian dessert, thank you. When you come to the end of the infinity swimming pool outside the villa, you can overlook the entire manor. Racecourse, trainer farm, vineyard, orchard, golf course, tennis court. Everything. It looks like a large-scale comprehensive manor integrating life and entertainment. Occupied several hills in one piece. Luo Tiantian can no longer use visual inspection to measure its total area. I just feel that my own knowledge and cognition have been crushed by unprecedented levels. It's so big, I have to walk a few days to get out. Luo Tiantian wailed in despair. If I knew it, I asked the smiling tiger butler to send her away. But what to do now? Are you going back to ask for help? Still is. Enjoying life while thinking about future plans? After all, it is difficult for outsiders to enter this top private estate. A rare opportunity. Thinking about this, Luo Tiantian suddenly stopped worrying. Anyway, there is everything in the manor, and having fun is king. Luo Tiantian cheered and ran down the mountain to the racecourse. Study on the second floor. Xue Fiemo was sitting at the desk, looking at the documents in his hands. Suddenly, the door of the room knocked, boom boom boom. Xue Fiemo did not raise his head, go in. The butler came in with a cup of coffee. Putting the coffee on the desk, the butler said, Master, the lady just now went to the racecourse. Xue Fiemo paused, what is she going to do there? The drama lady who likes the big guy has become the top stream, please collect it. The big guy's drama star lady has become the fastest literary update under the top stream. Thinking of this, the butler clenched his fists. It seems that this matter must be reported to the old lady and master. After the housekeeper left, Xue Fiemo rubbed his temples uncomfortably. It's not that he didn't realize that his situation was rapidly deteriorating. But even the special sleeping pills can't relieve his condition, what can he do? When I thought of the inexplicable sleepiness a few days ago, I fell into deep sleep uncontrollably. Xue Fiemo squinted his eyes, it seems that it's time to close the net. After thinking about it, he got up from the chair and walked downstairs quickly. Steward, go to the ranch. The housekeeper was calling to report the situation and hung up when he heard the young master's voice. Yes, master. I'll make arrangements right away. The butler nodded and ran out quickly. Where Xue Fiemo could not see, the butler's eyes were full of surprises. Just now, the old lady gave a death order to make him do an experiment. Look at the young master's sudden sleeping a few days ago. Is it because of the little girl? Or is it because of other? Unexpectedly, before he had time to arrange, the young master created an opportunity for him. When the two found Luo Tiantian, it was already half an hour later. At this time, Luo Tiantian was squatting in the corner, glaring at the keepers who were waiting. She was so hungry and sleepy that her teeth were itchy. Since yesterday morning, Luo Tiantian has been hungry. Those fruits are not at all hungry for her now. After eating, not only are you hungry quickly, but you also need to look for the toilet frequently. so, she didn't want to eat fruit anymore. Isn't it just a few chickens, ducks, fish, etc.? The big deal is that I just pay for it. It's like a wolf prevention. It's really stingy. Looking at the breeders who stared at him far away, Luo Tiantian whispered. Then after thinking of having stayed here for 5 or 6 days, Luo Tiantian sighed, forget it, it seems that I can't stay here anymore. I still think of a way and get out of here. After muttering, Luo Tiantian stood up and patted the grass clippings on her body. As soon as he turned his head, he faced a pair of scarlet strange eyes. Ah! Ghost! Luo Tiantian was frightened and sat on the ground. When she saw the situation clearly, she looked dazed. Boss, why are you here? Luo Tiantian asked blankly. It turns out that the eyes that I met just now were actually from Xue Fiimo. At this time, Xue Fiimo was bending over, looking at her with a smile. It was like a conspiracy brewing. You, what are you going to do? Luo Tiantian stared at him alertly. The intense sleepiness struck, and Xue Fei's eyes flickered. He looked at Luo Tiantian and asked, is it delicious? A guilty conscience flashed in Luo Tiantian's eyes, I don't understand what you are talking about. Xue Fiimo was not angry when she saw her disapproval. Suffocating the sleepiness of the violent attack, he calmly asked, do you really want to stay? Luo Tiantian's eyes lit up when she heard the words. While nodding, he said, Acridine or Acridine, follow me. With that, he turned on the tall off-road vehicle. Luo Tiantian was ecstatic when she heard that she could stay. Hastily followed up. Xue Fiimo raised his eyebrows, watching the changes in the children's expressions. What is the purpose of this kid? Why are you trying to stay with him? After Xue Fiimo got into the car, he leaned back in the chair with a tired face, looking drowsy. The drama lady who likes the big guy has become the top stream, please collect it. The big guy's drama star lady has become the fastest literary update under the top stream. Boss, did you sleep last night? I wondered why every time she saw him, he looked very tired. Xue Fiimo closed her eyes and did not answer her question. Seeing this, the housekeeper hurriedly smiled and said, little girl, the young master is busy at work, and I haven't closed my eyes for 2 days and 2 nights. Anyone who knows the young master's insomnia has signed a confidentiality agreement. So he didn't plan to let this little girl know. Lifting his eyes and looking in the rear-view mirror, he saw that the young master had successfully fallen asleep again. I was very excited, but it didn't show up on the face. Although he doesn't understand why this little girl is better than sleeping pills. But he understood that as long as the little girl stayed, the young master will be saved. Tisk tusk tusk, it seems that making money is really not easy. Luo Tiantian sighed after listening to the housekeeper's words. She has never made a penny personally in her 2 lifetimes. Although she lost her parents early, she still feels very happy. Because she has the best parents in the world. It's just a little regretful in her heart, because until she was dying, she failed to spend all the inheritance left by her parents. I don't know what to do with the remaining money after her death. Thinking of this, Luo Tiantian sighed, hey. When the housekeeper heard the little girl's words, he was deeply moved at the moment. Yes, the young master has been flying in the sky since he was 18. He often works day and night, and there is almost no rest time. Luo Tiantian couldn't help rolling her eyes when she heard the words, flying in the sky. Xue Fiimo is not a bird, and has no wings. He has been flying in the sky. Unless he, like her, loves extreme adventures. Yes, our snow group's business covers many countries. So there are too many things to deal with. This also causes most of the young master's time to be spent either on the plane or in the office. The butler replied. That's it. Luo Tiantian suddenly realized. In fact, my mother was very busy when she was young. At that time, she was very incomprehensible. Why couldn't her mother be with herself? And dad? Also because it is a special type of police, it sometimes takes days, months, or even years when it disappears. For the impression of his parents, Luo Tiantian has only one word: busy. Until the age of 13, Dad was seriously injured and was forced to stay in bed at home to recuperate. In order to take care of father, Mother also delegated the work to her subordinates. After that, their family finally lived a happy life for 2 years. Unfortunately, 2 years later, she lost everything except money. After her parents passed away, she knew all the truth about them from her mother's diary. It turned out that the reason why my mother worked so hard was because she had anticipated her end. She worried that after her death, her daughter's life would not be guaranteed, so she worked so hard to make money. When she thought of this, Luo Tiantian couldn't help but flushed her eyes. Parents, I will definitely take care of myself. Luo Tiantian said silently in her heart. Pack your thoughts, and chat with the housekeeper. Soon I returned to this magnificent modern villa. Under the steward of the housekeeper, the two helped Xuefiimo back to the hall together. He thought that Xuefiimo would wake up soon, but he didn't expect this sleep, so he fell asleep until the next morning. Luo Tiantian woke up again and again from her dreams, and finally waited until Xuefiimo woke up. Boss, you can sleep too much, right? You have slept for more than 10 hours. Luo Tiantian couldn't help but vomit. The drama lady who likes the big guy has become the top stream, please collect it. The big guy's drama star lady has become the fastest literary update under the top stream. Xuefiimo rubbed his eyebrows, and asked in a hoarse voice, what time is it? 10 o'clock in the morning. Luo Tiantian replied. Xuefiimo nodded and looked at the busy housekeeper and said, Housekeeper, let the lawyer come. Yes, master. The housekeeper put down his work and went to the landline phone. I was about to make a call when the phone ringing suddenly rang. Seeing the familiar caller ID, the butler smiled, Good morning, old lady. I don't know what was said on the other end, but the butler kept answering. Then, the housekeeper turned his head to look at Xuefiimo. Master, the old man wants you to answer the phone. Xuefiimo hesitated for a moment, got up and walked over. Answered the phone, Grandpa. Xuefiimo listened to the voice on the other side and said nothing. With the long silence, the brows frowned and tightened. Luo Tiantian could feel the low air pressure from Xuefiimo's body far away. The call continued. Luo Tiantian didn't know what they said. Only know that after Xuefiimo's okay, the guy stared at her with a strange look. Staring at her makes her scalp numb. Old boss, is something wrong? Luo Tiantian asked nervously. Just arrived, beset on all sides. The dangers hidden behind the darkness forced her to hug Xuefiimo's thighs tightly. She doesn't want to be as miserable as the original owner, she wants to live wantonly like the previous life. It's okay. Xuefiimo gave Luo Tiantian a deep look and answered faintly. Luo Tiantian choked, feeling even more bottomless. Just thinking of saying something, Xuefiimo has already got up. After 2 steps, he suddenly turned his head, Little friend, what is your name? Luo Tiantian. Luo Tiantian replied reflexively. Xuefiimo nodded and went to the 2nd floor. Luo Tiantian was left sitting on the sofa with a dazed expression, like sitting on pins and needles. About half an hour later, a man in a suit and leather shoes, led by the housekeeper, also went up to the 2nd floor. Luo Tiantian, who was already worried, became more and more nervous. The huge living room was empty, and only the breath of money accompanied her. What the is Xuefiimo doing? Luo Tiantian looked in the direction of the 2nd floor and muttered softly. According to the plot, the heroine will soon enter the entertainment circle in a few months. Then, with the help of the Luo family and the hero, she became a first-line actress with hundreds of millions of fans. Under the deliberate guidance of the heroine, the original owner became a delusional cosmetic woman who wanted to replace the heroine with no morality, no bottom line, murder and arson, and unforgivable. Overnight, the original owner, the little princess who was once held in the palm of the Luo family, completely became a rat crossing the street and everyone shouting and beating. The more the original owner wanted to prove that he was the real Luo Tiantian, the more disgusted the Luo family was. Even if you want to die with the heroine, you are not as skilled as others. In the end, she was imprisoned by the heroine and tortured for more than 10 years before she was completely relieved. Thinking of this, Luo Tiantian was anxious. She must be ahead of the heroine and gain a foothold in the entertainment industry. Then slowly revealing the true face of the heroine. However, if you want to succeed, you must find a backer stronger than the Luo family and the hero. And Xue Fiimo is the only candidate in Luo Tian's heart. Sign it. Luo Tiantian, who was in deep thought, was taken aback. Inexplicably, a tingling sensation like a cat scratched in my heart. Xue Fiimo has an outstanding appearance and a special voice. The drama lady who likes the big guy has become the top stream, please collect it. The big guy's drama star lady has become the fastest literary update under the top stream. Sometimes hoarse and low, sometimes cold and magnetic. It all depends on whether he is full or not. Let Luo Tianation's face control and voice control always speed up his uncontrolled heartbeat. She calmed her mind and looked at Xue Fiimo, who was already sitting across from her, asking, "What's the sign?" Xue Fiimo answered the question, "Do you want to stay?" Luo Tian desert, "Yes. You can stay if you sign." Xue Fei said lightly. Luo Tianation's eyes lit up when she heard the words, "Okay. I'll sign." He picked up the pen and was about to sign, but hesitated. "Xue Fiimo, don't you want to sell me?" Xue Fiimo's face was light and breezy, and there was a trace of cracks. He frowned and looked at Luo Tiantian suspiciously, "You are very valuable." Luo Tiantian choked, her beautiful peach eyes couldn't help but stared at Xue Fiimo, "I am a priceless treasure." Xue Fiimo looked at Luo Tianation's eyes deeply, as if measuring its value. Being stared at by such a handsome guy, to be honest, Luo Tiantian was very weak in her heart and her legs were weak. Just as she was about to break the power, Xue Fiimo retracted her gaze, "It's okay." What? Luo Tiantian opened her eyes wide, and looked at Xue Fiimo incredulously. He said okay? The implication is that she is worthless? Well, in front of the boss, she is indeed a hot chicken. However, I still feel so angry. No sign? Leave if you don't sign. Xue Fiimo narrowed his eyebrows. Seeing Luo Tiantian procrastinating for time, she felt unhappy in her heart. Sign, even if it is a deed of sale. Luo Tiantian quickly regained consciousness and directly drew out the last page of the two agreements. Refreshingly sign his name at the back of the agreement, and then press the fingerprint. Raising his head, he offered the agreement with both hands very dogmatically, "Boss, please have a look." Xue Fiimo raised her eyebrows in surprise, "Xue Fiimo? Hey!" Luo Tiantian looked dazed. Xue Fiimo didn't confuse Luo Tiantian, but said with a serious face, "Children, pay attention to your identity in the future, and don't do anything devaluing." Identity? What identity? And, when did I drop the price? Luo Tiantian looked dumbfounded. Seeing that she is still in a state of wandering gods, Xue Fiimo unfrowned, "You don't need to read the content clearly when you sign the contract." Luo Tiantian scratched her head when she heard the words, her face was a little embarrassed, isn't it because you believe in you, the boss?" She can say that she just relied on the big boss to lack anything. There is no reason to calculate that she is a weak woman who has nothing, so is she lazy? Xue Fiimo glanced at Luo Tiantian with difficulty, then picked up another agreement and got up, "Remember the content." After a pause, he said, "At night, I will do spot checks." Luo Tiantian looked dazed. What's the situation? Until Xue Fiimo put the agreement back on the second floor, and then left the villa. Luo Tiantian came back to her senses. 40 pages. Let me memorize it. Luo Tiantian wailing, is this an agreement? Are you writing laws and regulations? Swafiimo, are you poisonous? Although she has a good memory, but she is afraid of trouble. Besides, remembering too many things in your head makes you very tired, okay? When she was aggrieved, the butler came over. Miss Luo, you shouldn't rest in the fruit shed these days. I'll take you to the second floor to rest. Hey? Oh. Good. The drama lady who likes the big guy has become the top stream, please collect it. The big guy's drama star lady has become the fastest literary update under the top stream. Luo Tiantian wandered into the heavens, did not hear the housekeeper's words clearly, just got up and went upstairs behind the housekeeper without love. Miss Luo, this is your room. If you have any needs, please do not be welcome. The butler smiled kindly, and looked at Luo Tiantian's eyes, without the estrangement of the past. Luo Tiantian saw the housekeeper suddenly become so warm, her scalp was a little numb. No, no, thank you. Well, I won't bother Miss Luo to rest. I wish you a good night's sleep. The butler finished speaking with a smile and turned to leave. Moreover, he was very considerate and closed the door to Luo Tiantian. The butler is possessed by a ghost. Luo Tiantian whispered. Holding the thick agreement in her hand, Luo Tiantian also didn't care to watch her room. He walked to the bed in a daze, and then jumped on the big bed. Open the agreement, and the purpose is to increase the bold and centered characters. Prenuptial agreement. Luo Tiantian abruptly sat up from the bed in fright, with an ominous premonition in her heart. Continue to look down. Man, Shuefiimo and woman, Luo Tiantian. After negotiation, the men and women are ready to get married. The two parties have made the following agreement on the post-marital property system and other related property matters. 1. The post-marital property system. Then the following are the various clauses regarding the married property of the two. There are as many as 24. Immediately afterwards, there is the compensation paid by the man to the woman. These include the woman's non-working and the woman's work, daily expenses, purchase of daily necessities, luxury goods, and support for the woman's parents. Carried out a detailed description. At a glance, it's all numbers. Luo Tiantian looked dizzy. When she saw the 3 words pocket money, Luo Tiantian counted them curiously. 10 million. 7 million. Is this pocket money? No, this is loneliness and invincibility. Who has 7 million pocket money a month? And according to the terms of the agreement, the daily expenses of the purchase are not included in the pocket money. For example, she wants to buy a bag. Then, you can talk to Shuefiimo and he will pay. Where can I find such a handsome and rich husband? Luo Tiantian happily played a few times on the bed. Then he covered his head with a quilt and screamed in a low voice, Big brother, I am willing to be a contracted couple with you for a lifetime. After a while, she got out of the quilt. Continue to look at the agreement. At the beginning, a full dozen pages were full of various benefits and protections for Luo Tiantian. Luo Tian is so sweet in her heart, it wasn't until I saw the back that something was getting worse. For example, you can't be within 2 meters of Swafiimo during the day. For example, you cannot be half a meter away from Swafiimo at night. For another example, you must be on call, not late. You can't publicly announce the relationship between the two outsiders, and you can't use his banner to commit crimes, etc. There are many overlord clauses like this. Luo Tiantian became more and more angry as she watched. She felt like a stone in her heart. She figured it out. This so-called contracted husband and wife means that when Shuefiimo wants to sleep, she must follow along and execute it unconditionally. Hey, how fair are your rules alone? You have to abide by my rules. Luo Tiantian thought through gritted teeth. He stood up from the bed neatly, looked around the room, and finally found a pen and paper. Then he lay down on the bed and started writing. The drama lady who likes the big guy has become the top stream, please collect it. The big guy's drama star lady has become the fastest literary update under the top stream. Before he knew it, he fell asleep in a daze. Because there was a little thing in the house, Shwefimo arranged everything early and returned to the manor house. Although I slept well last night, my face was still tired. Master, there are still 2 hours before dinner. You can rest for a while. Shwefimo nodded and asked faintly, where is the kid? The butler was taken aback for a moment, and then said clearly, Miss Luo is resting in the young master's room. She must have not woken up yet. Do you want to invite her down for dinner? Shwefimo paused when he changed his shoes, and frowned slightly, I'll go. Yes. The housekeeper smiled at his aunt. The young master is 28 years old and he has reached the age to marry a wife. Although Miss Luo is only 18, it doesn't matter. Master can wait 2 more years. It's hard to find a sleeping pill with no side effects. They must help the young master to keep it safe. Shwefimo glanced at the housekeeper, have a happy event in your house. No. The butler was taken aback. Then why do you smile like a Maitreya Buddha? After Shwefimo finished speaking, no matter what reaction the housekeeper had, he went upstairs on his own. The butler reacted with a grieved expression, Master, how can I be so fat? Upstairs Shwefimo stood at the door hesitating for a moment, then opened the door. The moment the door opened, the strange breath made him a little repulsive. Looking at it, he saw a figure leaning on all sides on his big bed. On the bed and on the ground, A4 paper was scattered all over the floor. Shwefimo frowned and walked over. He hated his territory, and there was a trace of mess. Picking up the paper one by one, just about to leave. Suddenly saw a ball of black ink smeared on the bed sheet with the signature pen. Shwefimo tightened the paper in his hand, with dark clouds covering his face. Squinting at Luo Tiantian, who was asleep, she wondered if she should be thrown out. At this moment, Luo Tiantian, who had been sleeping deeply, suddenly woke up. Ah! Screamed, and suddenly sat up from the bed. She was confused and saw Shwefimo staring at herself with a gloomy expression as soon as she opened her eyes. Luo Tiantian was agitated, and her squishy mind suddenly became clear, why are you here? This is my room. Shwefimo replied coldly. Luo Tiantian held Shwefimo's cannibal eyes, Alexander. But he still tried to get himself a little private space, then what, the second floor is so big, there should be many rooms. Before Luo Tiantian finished speaking, she was interrupted by Shwefimo, she. He looked at his cheap fiancé and chuckled, why? Luo Tiantian choked. She pursed her lips, thinking quickly. A touch of sly flashed in the smart peach blossom eyes, don't you think you want to sleep with me? The intentionally hinted appearance, as if finally gaining the upper hand in a desperate situation. Shwefimo suddenly came in a little interest. Oh! Shwefimo looked at Luo Tiantian and reminded him word by word, we are an unmarried couple. We have signed and drawn. Luo Tiantian. Without waiting for her response, Shwefimo picked up the signature pen on the side and paused slightly. He stood up and put the A4 paper and the signature pen on the bedside table, then lifted the quilt and went to bed. Luo Tiantian was taken aback. Silently moved his body to the side, then moved. The drama lady who likes the big guy has become the top stream, please collect it. The big guy's drama star lady has become the fastest literary update under the top stream.